Hey everyone, Brandon here with Galloway Precision. Today is the day a lot of you have been waiting for. We go over the installation of our new Seneschal Trigger for the Security-9. If you're wondering where the name came from, we wanted to keep an S with it since it was originally the Solomon for the LC9 and LC380. So we did a little research, and a Seneschal was the second in command to the master, Grand Master of the Templar Order. So basically the first sergeant, basically a badass. So that's what we decided to go with. What we have done is we've left the pre-travel stop. We elongated it a little bit, so it eliminates most of the pre-travel. Couldn't eliminate the post-travel just for the simple fact being a single action. Doesn't break till it gets all the way to the rear the way they designed this. Putting in an extra stop just wouldn't be doable, especially with the safety blade. We could have extended the trigger some back here, but it just wouldn't have worked. So this will be removal of about 20 to 25% of your pre-travel, depending on the tolerances of your particular pistol. So let's go over tools you're going to need. You need your brass polymer hammer, a shepherd's crook hook, small flathead screwdriver, 1/16 punch, 1/8 inch punch, some needle nose pliers, and your bench block. So let's lock and clear. We are visually and physically empty. So let's drop mag. Let's go ahead and strip the slide off. Many of you are going to ask me this when you watch the video. Yes, this is in production as we speak. We're just waiting for them to come back from anodizing. So they should be up on the website here in a few weeks. Alright, so let's go ahead and remove our slide. That's what our screwdriver's for. Take our slide assembly and our takedown pin. We're going to set them off to the side. So now you're going to take your 1/16 punch and push in this little D10 on the hammer spring cover. We're going to pop it off, set it off to the side. And take our bench block, take our needle nose pliers. We're going to take our hammer spring strut out, flip our bench block upside down. We're going to drive out the frame pins using our 1/8 inch punch. And I'm going to show you the difference in the pins too, because there is a difference between the two frame pins. Alright, so this is the rear frame pin, and it's odd that they put this in here, this little groove in the center, because there is absolutely nothing in there for it to actually get up against. I think they did it mainly just so when you're taking it apart, you know the difference between the two. The front one, along with not having the groove and tapers, is longer by probably 1/8 to a little longer than 1/8 of an inch. Alright, so you know this one goes in front. I think the camera's over here where there's nothing. Long one goes in the front, short one in the back. So we're going to set them off to the side. So we're ready to remove our chassis. We've unsprung our hammer, and we're ready to take our chassis out. Now what I do is I keep my thumb over the safety. I just pull it straight up. The reason I keep my thumb over safety, it's not a huge amount of spring tension, but there is your detent and spring for your safety. So you don't want to just go pulling this thing out real fast, because it may pop that off and the spring and detent can come out. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over to the other side. Alright, we're not messing with anything back here at the rear of the chassis. There's no need to. Don't need to, don't need to, don't need to. Do not pull that apart. This is a real simple change compared to some of the other kits we have. So we're going to set this down. We're going to take our 1/16 punch. We're going to knock out this pin right here. And see, set it down too hard and that pops out. So if your detent and spring come out, just take them, set them off to the side. Maybe a good idea just to use your magnet and take them out. Normally, I wouldn't take it out for installation, but I'm also doing it to where I can show you guys how to install it. So on camera, for now, we'll just take it out. All right, so We're gonna line up. You got this 1/16 pin that holds your trigger blade in place. Problem is, we can't get to the trigger pin that holds the trigger to the pivot. So we're gonna take our 1/16 punch, and don't be dumb like me, take your trigger bar off first or you're gonna get whacked in the finger by the return spring. Alright, so let's take that off. We're gonna go ahead and take that out. You don't got to really beat on this thing. Give it a good couple hard smacks to get it started, and then you can basically just push it through or tap it out. Alright, so go ahead and remove the safety blade and the safety blade spring are going to come out. Set them off to the side. We don't need them. Your new Seneschal Trigger will be outfitted with its own safety blade. Now you can look in here and you can see, it's a little hard to see. I'm going to get some better light here. Alright, you see the pin? You can take your 1/16 and just push that pin out. Alright, there's your pin. It's going to drop down on your mat. If you don't have a bench mat or an enclosed workspace where it's not going to go bouncing off of something flying, you can take your screwdriver with the magnet in, push it out, and it'll just grab right a hold of it. Alright, so the trigger return spring comes out. Take our 1/16 since we still got it in our hand. We're gonna, right here is the pivot. Go ahead and just give it a little nudge. Your old trigger is gonna come out. Now, as I always say in every video, and some of you guys have been misconstruing what I say a lot lately, hearing what you want to hear. Any aftermarket parts you put in a pistol, when you send it to a manufacturer, they're gonna remove them, put it all back stock, and blame your aftermarket parts. Even if it's a trigger and your barrel blows up. That does not mean there's something wrong with the part. I've actually had a couple people ask this lately. No, the part is not doing damage. No, the part is not what broke your gun. If you're sending it in for warranty work, they want it stock. If it's warranty work, that is their fault. Most manufacturers are going to blame any aftermarket parts in the gun, send it back, and you're probably still going to have your original issue. That's the way that this industry works. That's not me making stuff up. That's not me blowing smoke. Anybody that makes aftermarket parts is going to tell you the exact same thing. All right, so keep your stock parts. You know, Security-9 is still a fairly new pistol. If they end up recalling it for some reason or anything like that comes up, they find something they want to do, if you send it in with aftermarket parts, they will still not return them. All right. So you can put your trigger back together pretty easy. You'll see there are two nipples, one on each side, and a perfect little spot for them to just go down into, swing it forward, take your roll pin, tap it home. We're done with the stock trigger. It can go in our baggie to be saved in case we ever need to send the gun in for warranty work. All right. So now we're all done with that. Let's put this bad boy in. All right. So I'm going to go ahead, take your trigger, place it in the chassis, take your trigger pivot, get everything lined up and push through. Take your trigger return spring, which when you put it together, the arm should be sitting at about 4 or 5 o'clock. Okay. Now what I like to do is I like to take my magnet screwdriver and just get it started. All right. Now if you have a hard time getting it in there, take your 1/8 inch and start tapping it in. Just like that. You don't got to hit it hard. You don't got to go crazy, but sometimes you got to give it a little tappy tap just to get it to seat, because of the simple fact that the trigger pivot is a little loose in these that we've come across in a couple of our test pistols with no rhyme or reason to it. And sometimes this spring will give you a hard time too, because it's different design than what was previously used in other pistols. So you can take your 1/8 inch, if it's not seated all the way, take your brass, just tap it in. Again, you don't have to beat the thing in. As a matter of fact, you do, you're probably going to break your trigger return spring. Ask me how I know. because the first prototype, that's exactly what I did. That's why we buy a couple of these guns at a time, because more than likely we're going to destroy at least one. All right, so it's seated. We're good to go. All right, so now take a little oil. Just give a little drop, because this is one of the few times you're going to actually probably have the chassis out, so you might as well just give it a little oil. Light coat, guys, light. By light, I mean notice the grease from the factory they put on there. That is nothing. That's what you want. You don't need to gum up the works, because what does oil and grease attract? Dust, debris. All right, so don't want to go overboard. Go ahead and wind your trigger turn spring back. Now we're ready to put our safety detent and safety back in. Just like so. Take your safety, go ahead and press it onto there, which this thing can be all sorts of fun sometimes. Make sure that the hammer might be back too far. Alright, so while I was messing with that, my trigger turn spring came unsprung. If that happens, just flip her back over while holding the safety in place, which is the biggest pain in the butt in this whole pistol. Wind that, holding it like if it falls apart, it's a baby that'll die. Alright, so we're going to take our frame. The great thing about this is you don't need to angle anything. You can just drop your frame right back in. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hold the chassis in place and take our hammer spring strut, put it back in. We're going to spring the hammer spring, make sure that it's off to one side or the other, whichever side it is set on. When you pull your gun apart, put it back exactly the way it was. And put your hammer spring seat back on. Take our long one, we're going to put it in first. Using our polymer hammer. Take our short frame pin, go ahead and put it on. Now you want to make sure, as usual, your rear frame pin is frame pin is equidistant on both sides. This one being rounded is probably not going to dig into your hands as much, but it certainly won't be comfortable. Alright, so that was a little function test there. We know everything's working the way it should. Go ahead and cock your hammer all the way back, depress without depressing the safety blade. Try and pull the trigger. Nothing happens. Safety blade, trigger falls. All right, so let's go ahead and reassemble the pistol completely. Now we're going to do a safety check, or functions check, I should say. Safety is on. Trigger should not fall. Safety off. Safety blade not held. Hammer should, or correction, striker should not fall. Safety blade. Less than a 1/16 inch of travel. Look at that. Don't get much better than that, guys. Stops immediately upon the trigger stop. I mean, it shortens the overall pull by about 20-25%. So this is definitely a must-have trigger if this is your car gun, your carry gun, your whatever gun. I mean, it makes a huge difference in this. Pull weight does not change. All right, we're not changing springs, so you're not going to get a change in the pull weight. It's going to feel like a better trigger just because of the simple fact you have a flatter face, so you're pulling at the lowest fulcrum point like you're supposed to, and so it's going to feel much better. It's going to give shorter reset, and you're going to have much faster follow-up shots. And that's going to wrap it up, guys. I like the Security-9 quite a bit. The more we play with it, the better I like it. There are a lot of really good budget guns on the market right now for new first-time owners and whatnot. Honestly, for straight out of the box without any of our add-ons, you know, you got to fit two 15-round magazines. in an easily concealable pistol for under $400, and it works. We've fed this thing Tula, we have fed it Fiocchi, we have fed it Cellular and Bellot, we have fed it a bunch of garbage, and it will run the garbage pretty much most of the time, which is impressive, because you start getting into those Walmart bulk buys, you get some real bad ammo that has major pressure fluctuations. So it's really impressing me. Like I said, we've got the optic mount plate in production. These are on the website now. Of course, this has our stainless steel guide rod in it. I think it's 20-pound weight on this one. It's got our +2 mag extension, or +1, +2. Honestly, I've got so much flowing through my head, I honestly don't remember. I think it's +2 for the Security-9, if I remember correctly. Anyhow, without any of these aftermarket parts on it, it's still a really great pistol for under $400. We're just wanting to make it better. All right. Honestly, if you're looking to get into IDPA and IPSC and you don't have $3,000 for a 2011, you don't have $1,000 for a souped up Glock, you don't have $700, for an XDM 5.25 competition, great entry competition gun, minor changes to it with the Seneschal and a good guide rod. You don't even need the extension or anything. You've got a decent competition pistol to start out with. So really versatile, really fun little gun, and it just, that trigger just makes a huge amount of difference. And of course we'll get video of it shooting up as well. So that's going to wrap it up. If you guys got any questions, feel free to email me at tech, that's Tango Echo Charlie Hotel at GallowayPrecision.com. Be sure to follow us on social media here on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe below. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Vimeo. Swing by the website or the Facebook page to sign up for the newsletter. Once a month you'll get all our new product releases, and you'll get the weekly flash sale, which is either one item, multiple items. You never know. Only way you're going to find out, get the newsletter, get the weekly flash sale, and that's going to be it, guys. So as always, be safe, be accurate, and God bless.